Reactive devaluation. What this is, I'm going to read a definition. Refers to our tendency to disparage proposals made by another party, especially if this party is viewed as negative or antagonistic. This cognitive bias can serve as a major barrier in negotiations. All right, so that's the definition from, there's a website called thedecisionlab.com. It's actually a very cool website, and it has every cognitive bias. How many cognitive biases do you think there are?
I don't know.
There's more than that.
Yeah,
there's more than you think that there is.
Oh yeah, because I think there's like 15.
Yeah, and there's not. There's way more than that. So
like,
this one has, I don't know if it has every single one, but it has many, many of them. Because we covered cognitive biases because they're so important to understand and know, but we've only scratched the surface. Now look, some of them are probably more rarely viable than others. Others, you're probably just bouncing into them all the time. Mm-hmm. But this one, it definitely is something that people should think about and be aware of because it can really jam you up. You know, you don't want to get jammed up. Trust me.
I trust you.
So, I think especially as we look at what's going on with America right now, not just America, but the whole world. So what this is, reactive devaluation. They give an example. The first example that they give is they're like, oh, there's these two neighbors. One of the neighbors is named Sarah. And her and her husband are in a dispute with her neighbors about property lines and noise complaints and like garbage collection and just whatever general upkeep of the area of the property line between these two properties. And it's been hostile. They're not getting along. And so Sarah and her husband are kind of talking about like what a solution would be. Well, if they did this and they did that and we could do this, and they kind of came up with a solution in their mind. But then the neighbor comes over and says, hey, here's a proposed solution. And it's pretty almost the same, but they deny it. They reject the solution because they're at odds. Mm-hmm. So there's another experiment. Now they talk about an experiment that proves this. So this was in, and I'm going to do some paraphrasing / quotes. This is also from Decision Lab, thedecisionlab.com. I don't want anyone to think I'm plagiarizing here. I'm not. I'm citing my sources. So there's an experiment they talk about. It's the 90s. Apartheid is going on. And at Stanford University, they run this experiment. And they go out and they offer these two divestment plans for South Africa. And they've got two plans that they're offering. One is called specific divestment, meaning the school would immediately divest from any corporations involved with the South African military or police force. That's number one. Number two plan is deadline in divestment, meaning the school would entirely divest 2 years down the road. So they just come up with these two plans, whatever. There's pros and cons, but that's not what the important part is. The important part is that going to the document here, some students were told that the university was adopting the specific plan, and some were told it was the deadline plan, and some were told nothing of the university's intentions. And the results showed significant evidence of reactive devaluation. If the students were told that the university was going toward the specific plan, they would value it as less impactful than the deadline plan, and vice versa. So basically the students think that the man, and this is at Stanford, the man is bad and they don't know what they're doing. So any plan that whether they say it's the specific plan or the deadline plan, whichever one they get told the university is doing, they automatically think that the other one is better. Yeah. That's just the way it is. So this is something we have to pay attention to. They went against the man, but basically because they have whatever kind of animosity against the administration because it's authoritative. And so that's what it is. Does it make sense what reactive devaluation is?
Yeah.
We do this all the time, and we're seeing it. When you talk about the political divisiveness in America, every single idea that Donald Trump has is horrible, or every single idea that Biden has is horrible, or every single idea that Trump has is good, or every single idea that Biden has is good. That's what we're seeing. It's actually crazy how people fall in line with this, that anything that Trump or anything that Biden or anything that the left or the right does, if they're the other side, doesn't matter what they're saying. They're against it. Mm-hmm. Palestinian-Israeli conflict. Look, there's when they have over the past years when one side has made some kind of concession, the other side still doesn't want to move forward with it. That's happened over and over again. And now look, there's some moderates in the middle that are like, yeah, that sounds like a pretty good deal. Let's go. But there's always the extremists on either side to be, no, we're not doing that. So when I think about this is really good. Now we go from a national level to an international level. Cool. Let's understand that. But then let's think about your personal level, right? When you're at work and there's the one freaking guy that you don't like because you think he's a kiss ass, and then everything that he says, you're against. Or someone that seems like they're smart and they seem like they're doing a good job and you kind of think that they're cool, and then every idea that comes out of their mouth is a good idea. So this is all I'm saying. Open up your mind a little bit. Recognize that you have this cognitive bias, and it's especially true if you have strong feelings one way or the other, right? If you have strong feelings. And this one doesn't really talk about the fact that if I think Echo's really smart, then everything he says must be smart. We see that on a grand scale as well when some business person thinks of an idea and everyone goes, oh my gosh, it's amazing. Yeah. When you only have to peel back the onion a little bit and go like, that's dumb. That's a dumb idea and it's not going to work. But they get that. I think that's actually another bias called the halo effect, right? Effect, yeah. So this doesn't really talk about the halo effect. It just talks about the negative side. But man, an important thing to pay attention to when somebody that you have a negative opinion of says something, instead of taking it at face value and trying to interpret what it means and the merits of it based on the thing itself, instead you get crazy and you think you throw the baby out with the bathwater. So something to be careful of. That's all I got.
Oh yeah, fully so it's not almost, it's straight up that you will deny yourself if you go through life not knowing this is going on in your head. You will deny yourself probably critical information, benefits, like all these things that are going to help you and your family most of the time, if you have a family. And you're denying this stuff. Yep. Like say it's like you're hungry and someone's like, oh, here's some food. Oh, but I don't like you, so that food's bad. Kind of a thing. It's like you're literally doing that or metaphorically doing that. So yeah, these biases you gotta pay they're attention. Tricky, bro, because they feel real. Like even like the halo effect, the opposite one or whatever, same thing. And then they kind of work hand in hand. Like everything this guy says is freaking correct because look how successful he is. Bro, it's freaking, I don't want to go too deep into it, but I was listening to, Jake, I told you about Jake Tran. He's the guy, he makes these mini, like, kind of documentaries about, like, sometimes about corruption, sometimes about on YouTube.
Wait, which one did you tell me about? Just so I can think about who it is.
The first one I mentioned to you is the charity one, the one about starting a foundation and charities and what people do and the little things they do. But
Jake Tran.
Okay. So he had one about people who are massively successful. You think that they're smart, but they're not. Like the smartest of people are not successful. And it's usually people who are not quite that smart.
Why? What happens? What derails the massively smart people?
Two things. Their ego and they overthink. So you know how like if you're real smart, you're going to be like, wait a second, this decision right here that to take action here isn't that smart. There's like 3 things missing here. So there's a better way to do it. Let me figure that out.
Let's hesitate.
Hesitate on taking action on that because there's a better way. So they'll think, whether they think of a better way or not, they know that this isn't the best way. And someone who it's like, it's kind of that, for maybe lack of a better way of explaining it. But they hesitate too much. They don't just freaking send it, not a dumb person. It's bad to say a dumb person, but someone who doesn't overthink, like they're just going to send it. And whatever comes back, they'll make the adjustment and send it again and go and go and go. Now, the ego part too, because look, if I'm this smart person, I went to Harvard, all the best schools or whatever, and then I go out into the real world because I got taught like schooling stuff, and I go out in the real world where there's a lot more to it than that. And I take the first step and I'm not massively successful and I fail at something, everyone's looking at you like, bro, I thought you went to Harvard, like what the hell? And you're like, oh, I don't want that feeling. So I'll just stay in my little safe space kind of a thing. They can't take the adversity a lot of the time.
So they'll be successful, but within the confines of, let's say, a normal job.
Yeah.
Like,
And
hey, go to the hedge fund, work at the hedge fund. Like, you go to a hedge fund and there's a bunch of people that are analysts. They all went to Harvard. They all went to Princeton, whatever. Yeah. A few of them are going to break out and do their own thing and be massively successful. They're probably really smart as well. But there's a bunch of them that's their life. They're just going to stay